They say there are towns that don't stay dead. Places erased from maps, from records, even from memory. But they don't stay gone. They wait. Clara Hensley didn't believe that kind of story. Clara made documentaries about forgotten America. The broken motels, the mining towns swallowed by the earth, the places you drive through but never stop in. Her followers loved how real her stories felt. No jump scares, no actors, just truth. That was what made her videos terrifying. Dunwich Hollow was supposed to be just another forgotten town. Clara found it mentioned once, buried in an old newspaper from 1911. The headline read, "Annual Harvest Observance Held in Dunwich Hollow, Attendance Compulsory." That one word, compulsory, stuck in Clara's head. Who forces a town to celebrate? But when Clara searched online, there was nothing. No map listings, no census data. Even state records skipped from one county to the next, like the land between them had been deleted. Clara was hooked. After 3 weeks of research, Clara found Dunwich Hollow marked faintly on a 1974 highway survey. It sat at the dead end of County Road 97, deep in farmland. There was nothing else around it for miles. Clara packed her gear, loaded her camera, and left before sunrise. By the 5th hour of driving, there were no gas stations. By the 7th, no road signs. Trees pressed closer on both sides. Her GPS stopped tracking her position, and her phone went black. Then, through the windshield haze, Clara saw it, a warped wooden sign half hidden by vines. "Welcome to Dunwich Hollow, home of the harvest." The road beyond it was dust and fog. No birds, no wind, no sound. Then came the thud. A crow slammed into the windshield, exploding into a smear of feathers and black blood. Clara jumped, heart pounding. The bird's body rolled down the glass. Its eyes were already gone, like they'd been burned out. That was the moment Clara realized something was wrong. When the town came into view, the sun had already started to bleed into the horizon. Dunwich Hollow looked fossilized, houses leaning inward like they'd been standing for centuries. The windows were covered with cloth, and in the corners of the streets were wooden poles with bundles of straw tied to them. Human shapes with corn husks for faces. Clara filmed everything, narrating quietly. "This is Dunwich Hollow," she said to the camera. "Population unknown." People appeared as the light faded, silent, watching from porches and doorways. No one waved. No one smiled, except for one woman. She was standing by what looked like a bakery, white flour up to her elbows. When Clara approached, the woman turned and smiled too wide. "You came for the harvest?" she asked. Clara nodded, explaining she was documenting it for her channel. The woman's eyes didn't blink. "Then you should stay," she whispered. "We don't take kindly to folks who leave early." That night, Clara checked into a room above the tavern. The innkeeper's name was Jacob. He didn't ask for payment, just handed her a brass key and said, "Don't film after midnight." The room was small, wooden floor, single bulb that flickered constantly. When Clara recorded her first log, the video glitched. At the moment she said Dunwich Hollow, her voice broke into static, and beneath it, something whispered back. It said her name. That night, the sound of footsteps woke her. Slow, dragging steps in the hallway outside her room. When Clara opened the door, the hallway was empty, but there were muddy footprints leading toward the stairs. Through the hall window, she saw the fields and a line of lanterns moving through the corn. The next morning, the town looked busier. People were hammering stakes into the ground, hanging more effigies. Every doorway had one. Every home. An old man told Clara they were keepers. To keep the hollow from coming, he said. When Clara asked what the hollow was, the man smiled with rotten teeth. "You'll see soon enough." By the third day, the air itself felt wrong. Heavy, like breathing through water. Clara couldn't sleep. The walls creaked even when there was no wind. On her camera, every reflection of herself was delayed, moving a second after she did. When the harvest festival began, the entire town gathered around a huge bonfire in the square. They wore masks, wooden ones carved into animals, horns, beaks, antlers. The mayor raised his hands and said, "Tonight, the hollow eats, and we remain." They began to sing. The sound wasn't human, deep and droning, like wind forced through a hollow bone. The ground vibrated beneath their feet. Clara stood on the edge, filming. Jacob appeared beside her, pale and shaking. He said, "Turn it off. Leave now while you can." Clara asked what was happening. Jacob said, "We feed it, or it feeds itself. The soil must stay alive." Then the singing stopped. The crowd turned toward Clara. The mayor pointed at her and said her full name, Clara Hensley. The world went silent. Then the earth began to move. Clara ran. Through the streets, through the fields, her flashlight beam cutting through corn taller than her head. Behind her came the voices, whispering her name over and over, overlapping like 1,000 mouths buried underground. The dirt shifted under her feet, soft as lungs. Roots wrapped around her legs. And from beneath the soil, something began to rise black and slick, with faces stretched across it, screaming without sound. The smell was like wet rot and iron. Clara dropped her camera as the thing reached out, a limb made of earth and bone. The last recording caught her scream, the sound of breaking wood, and then silence. Weeks later, Clara's car was found at the edge of the county. Her camera was discovered miles away, half buried in a cornfield that shouldn't have existed. The footage ended with the camera lying sideways, pointed at the sky. In the reflection of the lens, faintly visible, was a woman's face. Dunwich Hollow has never been found again. Maps show nothing between County Road 96 and 98, just empty farmland. But truckers passing through late at night sometimes see lights in the fields, moving in slow circles. And sometimes, they say, if you roll down your window and listen, you'll hear a woman whispering from somewhere in the corn, a single name,